Hey Dylan, how are you? We are the Farooqi brothers, as you can tell from the four last names and similar beards. Uh, we got a chance to see the Batman, and it was amazing. And we're very excited to speak with you right now.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you got to see the movie, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So, Zion, you want to kick us off? First, thank you for joining us again. So, there have been so many live action Batman iterations over the last century, with each bringing their own unique style and having their impact on the overall legacy of the character. So, what were some of the challenges in creating a fresh take for such an iconic character while still keeping some of that innate familiarity that the audience would recognize before?
You're right. 80 Years of Batman presents the stakes are very high with 80 Years of Batman, and there's been great directors and great previous Batmen playing this part. It all came down to Matt coming up with a really original take on where to start this character. Year two, driven and fueled by vengeance, not quite perfecting yet the persona of Batman and how to do that, and being brought into a serial killer plot led by the Riddler that's going to reveal things about Bruce that he didn't know, that question his family legacy. That motor provided an emotional journey that typically isn't seen in a Batman movie. A lot of times in these movies, Batman is just responding to the bad guy, and the bad guy's doing all the changing. This one was really all about Bruce Wayne and Robert playing him, in that he's going to have to get all of these layers peeled back and question his family legacy in order to come out on the other side to find the reason why he actually was doing this all along. Everybody has this feeling that vengeance is the answer, but of course we know it's not. You have to find something more. And it's in that character journey that's in this narrative that Matt wrote that I think is different. And I think we're hearing that now. And I'm excited to show the world this movie on the big screen, because I think, again, it is a different take on Batman.
That's very well said. And I actually want to touch on some of the wider nets of producing and directing a Batman film with all the pressures that it comes with, because obviously cinematic universes have become kind of the name of the game when it comes to superhero blockbusters as a whole. But the Batman exists in its own little pocket, little world, separate from the wider DC franchise. So, can you discuss some of the conversations with Matt or with the studio that led to this film kind of breaking away from the conventional cinematic universe?
It was really simple, and it was once it was presented to Matt and me to make this movie. It was what would you do with this character? How would you do this character? And what made most sense to us was make an emotionally driven Batman movie that still was epic and was for big screen. Like we're trying to make big quality commercial entertainment, but we're also trying to move you. And so the take only was about how do you present this character in the most distinct, fresh way, in a way we haven't seen before. It's been done for 80 years and done really well by incredibly talented actors and amazing directors. And so it's very humbling. You're honored to be given the mantle, getting past it, to say, hey, it's your time to do it. And you want to try to make the best Batman movie that you could possibly make, but that you have to take take a moment and really pay respect to the ones that have come before.
Well, the cast of this Batman film was incredible. There's so many great performances. Can you talk about the casting process? Were there any challenges?
No, in fact, that was another way to actually separate ourselves from other movies that were being made in the comic book space. The guys that are doing the men and women that are making the Marvel movies are amazing. The bar is very high, and so we just wanted to. Again, Matt had very clear ideas of who each character was, and that we needed to find the exact right actor to play these parts. And pretty much across the board, our first choices were the ones that were interested in doing this. And so it's a very diverse, eclectic group of actors, but they're all at the top of their game. All of these actors have been, the headlining stars in movies prior to this. They all signed up to play these parts because I think Matt, as a filmmaker, had backstories on them. They had arcs. They had, a lot of different emotional places to go. And so, you just get, at the end of the day, this incredibly, the quality of this ensemble is amazing.
I wanted to circle back to the original conception process for the Batman. Obviously, the film has gone through, a few different changes or whatever, especially with Ben Affleck, I believe, was originally slated to direct and star. Can you shed light on his exit and what his role was? And was there ever a script that Matt Reeves had that he would have used to direct him before ultimately you had Robert Pattinson come on board?
When we came on, there was a transition it already had happened. DC had transitioned in their leadership and what they were doing inside their company. And Ben had made the decision that he didn't want to do this part anymore. Again, he was, I think, going through stuff in his life where he was, reflectively looking at what he wanted to do. He has said, and something that Matt and I feel, deeply, to make a Batman movie is a giant undertaking. It's just, you have to, it took us 5 years to make this movie. I think he had played the part, 2 times for almost a decade. And at some point just thought, there's other things that I want to do. And everybody can relate to that decision. So when we came in, it was more about what would you do? And once we had figured out what we would do, that was accepted, and then we went and tried to figure out how to do it. Again, the ambition is great. You have to swing for the fences when making a Batman movie, but there's 80 years of it, and you know how hard it's going to be because it's big ticket entertainment meant for movie theaters, but it also has to be a quality narrative, character-driven emotional exploration. And so you pour everything into that. It's been a long, amazing journey. And on top of that, there was a pandemic that we had to survive. We're just, we're at this place now where we're showing people the movie, and the excitement now for us is beyond. Just so excited for people to see the movie.
And I want to transition from that to the man who plays Batman in this movie, Robert Pattinson, because after seeing his performance, I really do feel like he comes off as this quintessential Batman. Even though it's early in his journey, everything from the Bruce persona to the Batman persona feels quintessential to the character. So I want to get into that because, as we know, with every big casting process for these movies, whether it was Affleck or even Ledger before, social media people are going to have these complaints, or they're going to side-eye the cast. So how did you feel like when that first reaction hit about Pattinson, and there was a bit of a divide between fans between if this was the right cast or not? So as you, the producer, sitting back knowing Robert's roles outside of, let's say, the Twilight, for example, how did you feel about watching some of those reactions pour in?
The truth is our process is very simply, we try to tune out all the noise, and we look at the person that we're interested in, the work that they're doing. There was zero doubt and no question about Rob's talent and ability to act. The parts in the movies that he was doing were tremendous, and he was fearless. He commits into these parts in a way that other actors at his age just haven't or weren't doing. And so we knew that the whole movie rested on this character's back. He was in 98% of the movie. We needed an actor who was fearless, who could commit all the way, and he was our guy, from day one. It didn't hurt, I should say, that he has that perfect jawline. So when we did see him in the cowl, we were like, oh yeah, he can also wear the cowl really well. Look, Rob's got every talent in the bag. He's serious, he's intense, he can fight, he did all the training, he's funny, he's incredibly charismatic. And as a partner, he didn't complain one time. He just did everything that was needed to do it. So, people are always going to have their opinions. I remember all of the Heath reaction when he was cast, and everybody on the internet was saying, what is Chris Nolan doing? And Chris Nolan knew exactly what he was doing. He cast Heath Ledger, who was amazing. And Bale, same way. And Michael Keaton, who was my Batman. It's just one of those things. I think because there's 80 years of Batman, we all feel so protective of this character and this property, and we've lived with it so deeply and intensely for so long that it's important to us. And so the reaction's great. We love it. We always just hope that if you have a negative reaction, come and see the movie. And if you have a negative reaction after seeing the movie, then we didn't do our jobs right. But my hope is, and from talking to journalists who are now seeing the movie, I think we did our job. Certainly Rob did his job.
Well, after seeing the movie, I can definitely say that the hard work has paid off. Thank you so much, Dylan, for sitting with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the questions.
Congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.